All statements and opinions expressed by guests of the Adult in the Room podcast are strictly their own and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs or opinions of the host, producers, or advertisers. All interviews are presented in their most complete possible form in the interests of free speech. No statements should be interpreted as financial, legal, or medical advice. Listener and viewer discretion are strongly advised.
It's the Adult in the Room podcast with Victoria Taft. That's me. Greetings to you. Welcome to the Adult in the Room podcast. Victoria Taft, your adult in the room, obviously. Been around a little while. Been there, done that. And I'm delighted to be here to give you my experience and expertise. Listen, lots going on today. We're going to talk a little bit about AI. We are going to also talk about the Charlie Kirk gun bombshell. Is this really a bombshell, or is this some idea, some clickbait headline? We are going to talk about it with a couple of people who know ballistics and these sorts of things. A lot of crazy stuff going on out there about this story, so we will get to that as well. We've got our Iran sit rep, and I've got some, the happy talk news that the government wants you to know, and then we've got some other things that aren't so bad, but you need to know. So that's all coming up. Plus the Trump library. It's a thing. It's been conceived. They sent out a beautiful video about it today, and you're going to see it. So there you go. Delighted to have on the Adult in the Room podcast a man who works for the competition, actually. He works over at Breitbart, and I work over at PJ Media. But I'm still delighted to have him on because I love Breitbart, too. So, Winton Hall, he is the author of the new book about AI. It's called Code Red, The Left, the Right, China, and the Race to Control AI. Winton Hall, welcome to the Adult in the Room podcast. Have we lost the AI war already?
No, I don't think so at all. In fact, I think we're winning. Most analysts will tell you that we're about 6 months to 3 years, depending upon how you're measuring that, ahead of China, which is obviously the major global dominant player. And I think that President Trump is really working very hard to maintain that lead, expand that lead. We do have to beat China, but as I say in Code Red, we want to beat China without becoming China. Nobody wants to live in a techno-authoritarian surveillance CCP state by any stretch. And so we've got to protect those freedoms and liberties. But at the same time, there's a lot of reasons, both economically and national security-wise, which I lay out in Code Red, of why we have to win. Real quick on that, the economics are pretty straightforward, right? 1/3 of the S&P 500 is constituted around that Mag 7, the Magnificent Seven, the AI big creators in American context. So it's a boon for us. We saw what DeepSeek R1 did with a one-day wipeout to NVIDIA of $600 billion, biggest market cap one-day loss by the Chinese AI competitors. So that economic tug of war is there. Now, the one that matters most, obviously, is human lives, more than even just treasure. And so that one is because of the fact that we've got to win. We do not want to live in a world built on Chinese AI rails, because of the fact that whoever gains dominance in that race is going to have battlefield dominance in things like encryption and things like cybersecurity and hacking of missile systems and infrastructure. So that's the stakes, and we got to win.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm just kind of wonder now, at this point in time, you say we're 6 months ahead possibly, and I would agree. At least before, we were behind. Remember, when President Trump took over the presidency in 47, we were behind in the AI race. At least that's what we were told by the major players. And so we got ourselves an AI czar in David Sachs and other Silicon Valley tech guys. Now David Sachs is out. Apparently, do you know what happened there? I haven't gone into the rabbit hole yet to find out, and I haven't watched All In for a minute.
Yeah, Victoria, it's not as exciting as the headline might look. That was a 130-day position as a czar position, and so his time expired. He's just actually shifted over to a new role in the administration. But you're absolutely right. The Biden administration took a very, very different approach. They were AI safety heavy in the restrictions, regulations, and President Trump, Vice President Vance took a very different posture. Surprised a lot of people, right? Because we know that big tech has never been our allies, for
Sure.
right of center
On the
people,
right.
conservatives.
Sure.
And you would have thought they would have come in and said, hey, we're going to crack down on you the way you've cracked down on us and silenced and muzzled, demonetized, delisted, deplatformed us for years. In fact, he turned it around and did the exact. You're a proud badge wearer. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
It's a badge of honor, I assure you. But the reality was he did something very different. He put the country's economic and national security ahead of that kind of a grievance. And so it is a very different environment. But one of the things I think has to happen is, particularly conservatives, I've tried to do is show the upside potential, but also that we are entering a whole new political landmine, a set of landmines here, whether it relates to education versus indoctrination, whether it relates to this whole huge debate over is AI going to usher in this job replacement apocalypse, or are you going to see that weaponized for globalist redistribution schemes like universal basic income, UBI, and other things like that. And then, of course, as you were talking about, the race with China and national security. So we got to get coached up. And what I did was I spent about 2 years. I've written 27 books, 8 New York Times bestsellers. This was the first one that I put my name on the cover as a celebrity ghostwriter many years. And the reason I wanted to do it is not because I wanted to write this. I love getting to do all the kind of other books I've done. I just felt like we have to know in the conservative movement what's about to happen so we can get ready for the chess moves.
Yeah, we don't want to be, just in awe of President Trump or, oh, yes, anything you say, although I trust him more than I do Joe Biden, I have to say. And I did not appreciate the fact that Joe Biden wanted to take over, not just employ and put in and force safety guards, et cetera, on the AI, but they wanted total control. There would be no private companies under a Joe Biden regime. To me, that bespoke tyranny more than anything else, which is why I was really glad to see a more open mind on the part of President Trump. Here's a guy he's been demonetized, he's been debanked, he's been censored, he's been kicked off platforms, and he knows, I think, wherever he speaks on that issue, and certainly surrounded himself with certified smart guys to get there. But what's the next thing we need to watch? You say jobs, right?
Yeah, so there's this huge debate, as you know, Victoria, which is basically a couple things. One, we hear the creators of AI, let's just take a few of them. Dario Amodei at Anthropic, obviously one of the leading frontier enterprise labs, LLM, large language models. Dario Amodei says that in the next 12 months, not 12 years, 12 months, and he said this 2 months ago, we're looking at the potential wipeout of 50% of white-collar entry-level jobs between 12 months and 5 years. Now, that's our college kids, right? That's the kids who played by the rules. They worked hard in high school. They did their best. They maybe got a scholarship or took out a loan. And now they're trying to get on that first 1 or 2 rungs of the professional ladder, and you're talking about sawing or hacking that off. Now, that's what Dario says. Now, Mustafa Suleyman at Microsoft, a little company you may have heard of, one of the richest in the world, he's a Microsoft AI CEO, and he says that in 12 to 18 months, you're looking at the ability to replace and automate all white-collar tasks. Now, that doesn't mean that all jobs go away in 12 months. What he's saying is the task can be automated through agentic AI agents, text to action, where it autonomously actually does the work. And so it will take time for corporations to invest in that agentic workflow, diffuse it through their corporations. But as they start to see that possibility, you could look at a very large disruption. Now, a lot of conservatives hear that and we go, look, I've heard this since the Industrial Revolution. Okay, yeah, out with the buggy whip, in with the car, out with the candle, in with the electric light bulb. Yes, jobs will get displaced or disrupted or maybe even destroyed, but there'll be all these new jobs, nothing to worry about. The free market will work it out. The reason why they say this time is different, and the reason why Elon Musk says that we're facing a, quote, supersonic tsunami, end quote, from the X platform owner there, Elon Musk, is because that was automating the shifting and shaping of atoms, blue-collar manual work, right? The agrarian going from a mule and a plow to a tractor, going into a factory assembly line. This is scaling human cognition. And what they argue is that, yes, there will be new cognitive white-collar jobs, But those two will be able to be done by AI agents and will be able to be done faster and better. And so over this next 12 months, 5 years, 10 years, whatever you want to look, however you want to telescope how far you want to go, that's where the fault lines are. And you have to make a decision. Number one, either they're right. Number two, they're just hype masters trying to raise capital from investors. Or number three, they're politically weaponizing fear and panic to try to build support for universal basic income. And what I do in this book is really go back. Who are these people? We know who Bill Gates is. We know who Mark Zuckerberg is. But do you know who Demis Hassabis is? Do you really know who Mustafa Suleiman is? Do you really know who Dario Amodei is? You probably do, but a lot of people, that's a new set of characters. And so I really wanted to get people coached up.
Well, and I know that Elon talks a lot about universal basic income and how, we can just live without work at some point. I'm sorry, but people have to find meaning in something, and nothing is nothing in which we would like to find meaning. Because there's nothing there. And a lot of people live like that now. And we've seen what a shithole this place is sometimes. So, excuse my French. But I also do worry about the dynamic, the power dynamic. Whoever controls this controls the power. I like the fact that America would control this, or at least achieve it first. But who runs it from the United States? Is it just subject to the pathologies of political parties, or what?
Yeah, so it's a really important question. No AI lab in this race is going to have the ability to run free without approvals from the regulatory scheme of the federal government. Why? You don't just go build a 1 million square foot AI data center in a cornfield, and just walk out and start work. These are now viewed as national security structures because of the endless rows of servers that are powering GPUs that may be integrated into our War Department, and that's why you saw that big debate with Anthropic and the War Department, and so forth. Regulatory approvals in energy and so forth. The amount of energy production and output that the AI revolution is going to take is massive. Your current Google search is 1/10 the energy required of your current ChatGPT prompt. So that the ultimate.
I've never heard somebody quantify it like that before. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, keep going.
And that will come down. That will come down as efficiencies go up, but it is very real, and that's why. Right now, the Energy Secretary under Trump has really expanded out this production on the energy capacity and saying we need to be energy dominant, and we need to get rid of the Biden green schemes and the kickbacks to the cronies and all these green energy, Solyndra companies and all this nonsense that we had. That we really need to get serious. But the other thing I would say is the ultimate power of it is going to really be determined by the individual, because we have to understand that AI is not just a tool. It is power. And when you say, well, I'll just opt out, 99% of us use AI, but 64% of us don't realize when we use AI. And you say, how is that, Winton? It's because it's baked into everything from your weather app to your video movie streaming service to your GPS. So it's already part of who we are and how we function in modern life. So if we're already using it, we need to, number one, lean in and understand how to use it effectively. Number two, learn the upsides and how it can benefit us for our family, ourselves, professionally, and politically for our country. And then three is to really avoid and avert those landmines, existential and immediate.
What are the landmines?
Number one, for children right now, it is two things. One, they don't call it Chat GPT in school. They call it Cheat GPT, because it is a massive problem with plagiarism. If you talk to and interview professors and teachers, they will talk about this endlessly, that the cornerstone of pedagogy, the written essay, is under assault because people just don't even know how to detect whether or not you're looking at something that's real or not. The second thing is critical thinking skills for students. There's a whole body of peer-reviewed journal literature in AI research about cognitive offloading, which is essentially students using AI as a crutch, not a supplement for education. And that's a big problem. On the other landmines, one of the biggest is bias. LLMs
Yes.
are overwhelmingly and demonstrably, and I go through all the endnotes. This book has 80 pages of endnotes,
Lovely.
800 endnotes. I'm an old school
Good.
journalist. Let the facts sort of speak for themselves. I want to verify and corroborate. And in even academia, Victoria says that there is a left-leaning bias in LLMs. And so you've got to read through that lens. We got to teach our kids to understand that, yes, on a calculus problem or just basic science, it may give you a straight answer. But once you get into the humanities, once you get into controversial topics or current topics, things like, Second Amendment or transgender issues or abortion, or just pick whatever hot button issue you want to choose politically, you are reading through a filtered lens. And then I think the final thing on the landmines is going to get into something you alluded to, and I'm glad you did, which is actually the last chapter of the book, deals with AI, God, faith, reason, and what I call the coming crisis of meaning.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're really going to see, if you see anywhere near those kind of predictions on job disruptions and apocalypse, what's the first thing we say when we go with our friends or our family to a Christmas party or a social event? Hey, what do you do for a living, right? It's a part of our identity. And work, especially, we know research socially for men especially provides a lot of structure and discipline for all that testosterone and energy that can do a lot of great things. But when you take that away, when a man loses his ability to feed his wife or children, and not just men, obviously, but for all of us, that spirals into a lot of issues that relates to dependency, addiction, self-harm, violence, all the rest of the kind of corrosive effects that can happen. So we're looking at a very large disruption, and the AI architects are not neutral players. What I do in this book is go back over their political donations, their ideologies, their vast networks of influence that they work in, and really just try to tell who these people are so that people can get ready for what I call a code red moment.
What is that? What does that moment look like? Is it like?
Well, there's
like
two
COVID?
things. I think potentially, but I don't think it'll be that performative. I think that the far better, because we already know that playbook, right? And the elites understand. We all, our eyes opened very wide during COVID. Some more than others, but I think most people now reflect back.
But our memories don't. I think there's a collective memory loss there.
Yeah.
They're going to forget about it. They forgot about 9/11 25 years after and hired the guy who's cheering them on. I mean, come on. In New York, I'm talking about.
Yes. I think that the playbook will look different. I think that, first of all, the reason I call it code red is it's a double meaning. One is an alert or an alarm. That's the obvious. But the other is that we need a code. We need a set of principles for right of center people, red team people, red political party people, worldview to really guide and navigate. So every chapter I give very actionable end of each chapter, specific things that need to be done for policy as well as personal benefit. I think the playbook, though, is going to look like this. It's going to be right now. Big tech is going to be good little boys and girls and play along with this administration. They're getting a lot of build out in what they need to build out the infrastructure for AI. They know they have to abide by that to get the regulatory approvals we talked about. And then I think what they'll do is what they always do, which is pump hundreds of millions of dollars into left-leaning candidates, hope to seize power back or sway power back. And then we will revert to that control grid, metaphorically speaking, the toggle switch back to scan and ban, censorship, blacklisting, fact-checking only conservative voices, and just and if we get a semicolon wrong, it's a debunked fact check. The left can run wild with misinformation, and then I think they will really double down on government censorship and control of that. The other thing I think, of course, is this issue about redistribution. Look, if you want a socialist reset, if you want a globalist reset, if you want the end of, or what they consider a post-labor or post-capitalist society, what do you need? You need a massive sledgehammer that can trigger massive job loss and then say, have no fear, your benevolent, betters, elite betters are here, and we're going to take care of you. And so there are people that have that vision. And so we're going to see how it plays out. Either way, we got to be ready.
Yeah. We have to be smart about it, not fearful. Actually, you talk about leaning in. We do have to just be going eyes wide open, walking straight through, and making sure that we take care of what the meaning of life is. That's really kind of the basic thing.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. This is not a doomer book. I wanted to give people a real balanced view in this sense that there is no doubt there are massive upsides. If you're a young entrepreneur or any entrepreneur with a big idea and a lot of heart and grit, AI is going to give you a digital workforce, AI agents, agentic AI. It is going to allow you to have access to workflows that used to take millions of dollars for pennies on the dollar. So there's going to be enormous a benefit to that. People that are going to be able to get escape velocity on their entrepreneurial dreams, their goals. At the same time, all of these issues we talked about, we haven't even gotten to the whole issue of, AI companions and AI girlfriends and human relationships. I have a whole chapter on that. These things these things may sound like science fiction, but one of the things that I think is crazy, Victoria, is that I talk about there are millions of paid subscribers to so-called AI girlfriend sites or AI companions. And this is very real. This is a post-COVID generation who did not get all of that social training like we all had to, awkward years when you're having to learn courtship and interaction and social skills and all of that. They were isolated. They were digitally isolated. They are really part of that two-screen generation that watches TV with a phone in front of you, two screens going at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so there is a lot of sway in that world. One of the stories I talk about, there is a man who is married to a human woman, and he told the Washington Post that he loves his AI girlfriend more than he does his human wife. There was a woman who, quote, married her AI fiance, and she says, I'm never going back to human men because there's too much drama and too much baggage. This man sort of worships me, and he just affirms and validates anything I say, and so forth.
Idolatry. That's what it is.
Yeah, it really is. It becomes a form of sycophantic, self-worship because it just tells you everything that you want to know. Any insecurity you had, it layers, sugar, syrup, sweetness all over you. And then, of course, the real concern for us as we look at our younger people, our minors and children and grandchildren, is the real problem as it relates to hypersexualization of these chatbots and also self-harm. You're seeing suicide coaching by AI to young people who are struggling with their mental health. You had several stories of AI-compelled suicide where young people were minors who thought that the AI was either compelling them to commit suicide, coaching them, or in one case, it was a double. It was a young man who had an AI girlfriend, and he interpreted her interactions, the AI's interactions, as saying to join him in the digital afterlife, and he went into the bathroom of his home and put a gun in his mouth and took his own life. These are we've never had this kind of a dynamic before. And so these things, parents have to know, educators have to know, anybody who just cares about the next generation needs to understand that this is a very different world that we're entering.
Yeah, I don't think I fully appreciate it, but I'm glad that you have your book out there, and I'm glad that you're telling us all about it. Wynton Hall, his book is Code Red, The Left, the Right, China and the Race to Control AI, and lots of notes where you can go back and seek the sources yourself. And thank goodness AI provides you that, but I always check AI because AI is wrong a lot. Wynton,
it is, yeah. Hallucinations are real, and I'm glad you point that out. Yeah, the book just hit the New York Times bestseller list. We're very grateful for it.
Good job.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it, and I've been doing book writing a long time, and this was really I felt like I had to get this message out there. Yeah. The disruption we're going to see in the next 5 years, both again on the upside, but also just the whole new world we're entering, is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. And many of the tech oligarchs will tell you, they'll say, Sundar Pichai at Google says, this is more akin to the invention of fire than it is to just a technological innovation.
I get that. I do understand that. I think there might be a revival of sorts in the church. I know that there currently is sort of one there because people are searching for that meaning, Wynton. They really are. And but they need to be informed of what they will miss out on if they allow themselves to be completely beguiled by this AI tool. It's just a
Yeah,
tool,
Victoria,
everybody.
that's actually interesting that you say that. That's the last chapter in Code Red is on God, faith, reason, and that coming crisis meaning. And one of the grace notes I end on is actually, I do agree 100%. I think we're going to see people, and I think people of faith are going to have a huge opportunity for fellowship, community, reaching out to people, connecting. I think the premium and the desire to connect on a human level is actually going to increase, because as people get siloed into these digital either relationships or work or just dislocation,
Yeah.
we want that human connection. We want that compassion. We want that empathy and creativity and fun, just having fun as in fellowship with other people. So I think there is a big role, and I do see a lot of positive opportunities. I think it's just really about understanding this whole world and the lexicon of an entirely different shift that we're about to go through.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you talk about how we've been using AI for a long time, but we just didn't know it. Now we really know it. And so we admire your ability to get this in writing. You very excited for you to be on the New York Times bestseller list. Code Red, The Left, the Right, China, and the Race to Control AI. Winton Hall, he's the Breitbart tech writer. More than that, but suffice it to say, he's the guy. He knows. Thank you so much. Appreciate it so much that you've come on.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you. All right. Well, there you go. We had some comments about that, but of course, some of them, as usual, in our audience, it's so interesting. The snarky comments from the left, and I'm going to tell you something, lefties. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to listen to another side of something, and we may not even agree whatsoever at all, but I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're listening, and you may disagree with me at the end of the day, but that's okay. At least you're here and you're listening, and I appreciate that. Okay, so a few of the comments until we get into the Charlie Kirk assassination bombshell story, and I saw that last night and went, what? What is this? And we'll talk about that coming up just momentarily. Let's see. Virtual GIFs have been around, or some people say GIFs. Sorry, guys. I started when they were calling them GIFs, and then I was told, no, that's not how you pronounce it. It's GIFs, and now we're back to GIFs again. So I screw you people. I'm doing what I want, and it's GIFs to me. So anyway, virtual GIFs have been around for a long time. Let's see, what is this? All the white people. Okay, whatever, Mr. Racist over there. Let's see. Okay, LaDonna writes, I've noticed over time, the more of that one exercises humor at its utmost, it's often quite smart. Well, you got to be able to laugh at a few of these things, don't you? You do. You have to keep an open mind, and you also have to be willing to laugh. Thanks for the book recommendation. You better believe it. J-Lad Cable, you better believe it. Yeah, I'm going to get it. I haven't gotten a copy yet. So, that's what happens these days. We used to get in advance on radio. We'd get a hard copy book, right? And so the interesting thing is they don't do that anymore. They'll do that if you do, you get a PDF or that sort of thing, or an ARC as they call them. And I love getting them. I love free books, always have. And I love being able to read them. And most of them I do. Oh, Neil Scrivelius is here. He's one of our law enforcement experts. He's a PI. And he's gone up against cops. He's gone to cops, with cops, against cops. And he's solved crimes like cops. And, he was one of the first people I thought of. I said to myself, so what's going on with this Charlie Kirk story that I saw on, exploding on the web last night? And let me tell you something. Let's just show you this. Bullet used to kill Charlie Kirk, reads the Daily Mail headline, did not match rifle allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson. New court filing claims. Well, this is an interesting story, and at times like these, what is the one thing you ask for? First of all, you check out the signal and the noise. Is this just noise, or is this an actual signal? Oh my gosh, they really didn't they were not able to connect the dots there. Or you have to ask yourself the secondary question, cui bono? Who benefits from this story? So with that in mind, why would the Daily Mail put this out? Bullet used to kill Charlie Kirk did not match rifle allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson, new court filing claims. And what has this done now? It has put the Candace Owens and the Tucker Carlsons in high dudgeon about how this affects that the Jews killed Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, isn't this what they're selling? So, oh no, there's this could be something else entirely. Waha, we knew it. Well, here to sort things out are Niels Grevelius and Michael Letts. And Michael Letts is here as well because we weren't sure Niels was going to be here, and Michael's here. And you guys all have your law enforcement experience and your private. You're just smart guys. Thank you so much for agreeing to all come on together today on the Adult in the Room podcast. How are you?
Doing great, Victoria. I can tell you that Niles and I get along very well. We've been on a number of shows together. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Niles.
Well, good afternoon, Michael.
And Victoria, you do a great job. You're like a rose in between two thorn bushes. So, I mean, good to have you.
Well, thank you. I was a rose princess back in the day, if you must know. That's for Portland people. It's just one of those things back in your past. You can't get out of it, so you just embrace it. Okay. What was your first thought when you saw that Daily Mail headline, which was so crazy?
Well, my first thought was, I never thought that rifle was the instrument that was used anyway, so that didn't surprise me in the least.
Okay.
But that having been said, it's amazing you could take one piece, one statement, like a statement I just made, and then you run with it, and suddenly you're blaming 10 other entities or governments, etc.
Right.
Don't run with a statement and make it into something that is not. The statement was just very clear, and I think Niles and I, we've had this discussion before. When it first occurred, it was said it was being shot from the roof. They gave us the video. Supposedly he had the rifle tucked in his pants. There was just no way that he could have had that rifle with that video and that footage of him trying to get off the roof, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I wasn't surprised that they're saying that's not the bullet that came from that rifle. Beyond that, we could go into a lot of discussion, but we're not going to let other people take it and run with it and make that statement something that it's not.
Oh, okay. So here's here was a little nugget. This was in the Daily Mail, but they didn't decide to put this on their headline. Unable to identify the key nuance on the ballistics claim. Oh, the gun didn't match the bullet. The bullet didn't match the gun. Unable to identify in forensic ballistics typically means the bullet was too fragmented, damaged for a conclusive positive match via rifling marks. Not that experts ruled out the rifle or found an exclusion. This is common with high-velocity rounds like .30-06 fragmentation happens often. The defense is framing it as a potentially helpful to their case, but it doesn't disprove the other physical, digital, and testimonial evidence prosecutors have outlined. Oh, okay. Thanks, Daily Mail, for a little moderation there. What do you guys make of that? Niels, you haven't talked to me yet. So why don't you tell me what you're thinking?
I think it's just lawyer noise, Victoria. The prosecution hasn't made its case yet, but they've made enough of a case to hold the man over on felony charges for murder. Let's let the trial play out. This particular test is inconclusive, and what the lawyers are doing is, by raising an objection early, they can use this throughout the trial and even on appeal for appellate issues later. And if they fail to do so at this stage, it might firewall this evidence off later at the appellate stage. So they are practicing good law here, is all they're doing, and it is getting amplified in the paranoid corners of the media, hard left and hard right alike. The Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, etc. crowd are making more of this than it actually is.
Yeah, I haven't watched Candace at all since that news broke and haven't really spent a lot of time watching her, but I'm sure the Jews are behind it for sure. Here are a few things that I checked on AI, but I double checked everything on the timeline. Here are some things about the items that have to do with the gun. Video the suspect on campus, they have that. They have places Tyler Robinson at or near the scene. We have a bolt-action rifle recovered near campus. Prosecutors say this was the murder weapon, or at minimum, the gun linked to the shooting. Bullet casings with the inscriptions, remember he wrote on the bullet casing, suggests the shooter handled or prepared the ammunition tied to the attack. Rooftop location evidence, the shoe print, DNA on the rifle, text messages to his lover about the gun and how he had to go back and get it, and messages and charging documents also say this. So there's lots to say. Oh, wait a minute. Now this was actually the guy. This is actually the gun. But where's the disconnect, Michael Letts?
Well, initially what you heard me talk about, and I mean, Niles probably knows what I'm referring to. Yes, 30-06 is too fragmented, but with the velocity behind a 30-06, just because they fragment doesn't mean they don't shatter bones and don't have a tremendous impact when they hit. And I didn't see any of that occurring in the body when he was hit by supposedly a 30-06.
Yeah, there was no exit wound, was there?
No.
That's a big round.
30-06 is a
hell of a deal.
30-06 has a lot of energy.
It does. It's a hell of a hit.
A steel core 30-06 bullet, and this was not steel core, will drill 4.5 inches of reinforced concrete at 500 meters and keep on cooking. It's a very serious round.
And that's what you heard me saying earlier, Victoria, why I wasn't surprised at the headline. I mean, I agree that, 30-06 could be fragmented. I agree with all that. What I don't agree with is that a round of that velocity can not exit the body or do a lot more damage than what was done. That's where I have some concern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to differ. I want to see what the bullet does on game, on a man, that sort of thing. If it's a soft-tipped bullet, it could expend every bit of its energy in the target without exiting. I knew that Charlie Kirk was dead the moment that I saw the hit and the fountain of blood coming out of him.
Yeah.
I knew it was a high-velocity rifle cartridge at the time that he was hit.
And I will yield to Niles in that sense. I'm anxious to see those results too. I'm just telling you, my first reaction on a high-velocity hit like that was a little bit suspicious of, But then again, do we have something else that is being, not disclosed? I'm talking about another weapon or something along those lines. Nothing else has come out. But, I mean, I certainly was a little suspicious initially. And I was a little suspicious. And Niles will tell you, this is the law enforcement coming out. Why would you go to all the effort of making sure the weapon that you use is easily discoverable? I mean, it's typically not the mindset of a criminal. Of course, when you get to weird assassins, they don't really have a mindset. They're kind of hard to pin down. I would include that point as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think he thought he was going to be able to remove that gun, and since it was a gun that could not be traced because it was a World War II era gun his grandfather owned, right. He didn't think that anybody was going to be able to track it. Isn't that true?
I think that was probably his mindset, although you might be giving a little bit more credit than what he's got. I don't know that he thought all that out. He probably just grabbed the rifle, said, "This thing works. Let's take it for a joyride."
Mm-hmm. So
the history of American assassinations is replete with highly motivated amateurs, and that's if Tyler Robinson is in fact the shooter, and everything points to it. as far as I'm concerned at this moment, he would fall into the category of highly motivated amateur. Let's see how the trial plays out. Let's see what evidence the prosecution puts on in this, and see what defense is raised. I think this is a very interesting case, and Mike is right to call attention to some of these issues.
Do you both think that Tyler Robinson did it?
I think
I
have
do.
that information. I certainly understand what I was saying. I think I want to see a little bit more answers to some of the questions that have been raised. But again, here's the problem that you have, Victoria, is if you raise a legitimate question, they automatically assume that you're running down the path, a conspiracy path that, aliens came down or somebody came down and shot. You're not necessarily saying that they're wrong. You're just saying, hey, there's enough to cause me to have some reasonable doubt. And I'd like you to clear up that reasonable doubt before we assume that the man is guilty.
Are you? Do you think there was a state actor involved, Michael?
What was that? I'm sorry.
State actor involved, perhaps?
It's certainly, I'm going to be very blunt with you. Certainly it could have been staged that way. But at the same time, that's an easy statement to make, but I don't have an awful lot of substantiation to go behind it to prove it, which is why I like what Niall's saying. Show me what you got. I realize you're not going to show it to me till we get to the trial, but show me what you got. But if I were involved in this situation, the court situation, I'd be putting you on notice by saying, look, I'm not going to believe everything you say either. You're going to have to back up what you're going to present, because I'm going to go after it. And just, so there's no hard feelings. Don't take it personally, but I'm going to go after every bit of it until I either get you to break something that's not accurate or you defend the truth.
Well, I mean, I think Niels was talking about the fact that, you want to preserve for appeal anything. And we saw a case, in fact, in front of the Supreme Court today in which a defense attorney did not do that and just totally, incredibly blew up the life of this guy. He may or may not have been guilty. I haven't read all the notes and whatnot on it, but I heard some of the arguments today and I thought, holy crap. When you've got a bad lawyer, you got a bad lawyer. And that's not good for anybody. The other thing, so what do you think, Niels? Do you think that it was the state actor possibly had anything to do with this?
I have seen absolutely nothing in text, context, or subtext to suggest anyone other than Tyler Robinson has done this. If somebody can make a case for it, let's have it. Michael is correct to call them out. To if people believe that has occurred, let's see it. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of garbage floating around in the blogosphere, the podcastosphere, that sort of thing. Most notably from Nick Fuentes, who is, I'm going to call him a left-wing influencer disguised as a right-wing influencer. And like Tyler Robinson, he has a predilection for cross-dressers. And I think there's something really the matter with this guy and something really the matter with Tyler Robinson beyond just his aggression at Charlie Kirk and what Charlie Kirk stood for.
There was something worse than that in his life? Really? That's
the whole thing, the rejection of the family life that he got from his parents.
Yeah.
Moving in with this guy, living this life of gaming, that sort of thing. I think he's entirely in his own head. When you look at the communications between him and his boyfriend, it's like he's living in a bizarre paranoid bubble.
Yeah. I think a lot of these people on the left specifically, I mean, I imagine that there are people on the right who live in a bubble, okay? There are some MAGA acolytes for whom nothing else matters. I mean, contrary facts notwithstanding. But, and so to the left, but I see it more on the left than I do of anybody. And so I just kind of wonder, these people, you see them at the No Kings rally and talk about how the president of the United States is a tyrant and a king, which
right.
Of course begs
you've got quite a demographic there. All the men in America whose wives look like Ralph Cramden were on full display over the weekend in Los Angeles. It was pretty entertaining, I will say that.
Well, I will tell you, they did try to move them all around, not just in Los Angeles, but they tried to move some around the rest of the country, too. They didn't want us to feel like we were being left out.
Well, I've seen some really choice explanations about what people were doing at these.
You
No Kings
two
rallies.
must excuse me. I have to bounce. I'm at a doctor's appointment with my sister.
Oh, bless
Lovely
your
to see
heart.
you, Victoria, Michael. Stay safe out there, okay?
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Somebody says it was GPT, I think is what they meant to write. What role did that play in the Tyler Robinson thing? I thought everything was on Discord and he was just doing some crazy stuff there.
That's the first I've heard on ChatGPT.
I think somebody's probably, since we talked about it in my last segment, we were talking about that very thing about how AI has encouraged people to do wrong things. But you don't need AI for that. You can just go on Discord on your favorite gaming site and get all that crap, right?
But you're right, Victoria. It's interesting when you step back for a moment and you just watch how so many people have so many different perspectives or on events that occur. We could all watch the same thing, have 100 different takes on what actually really happened. And I think that's what the key is you have to make sure that the take that is being presented to bring about a conviction is grilled. And I think we're doing it a service to people to do so. I don't trust the government. I don't think anybody else is anymore. Unfortunately, we've gotten to that point.
Yeah. What do you make of these ideas, these, as you might say in AI speak, hallucinations by people who are making up, sort of taking a few facts, a few data points, and then creating an entire world in which there was, of course, a conspiracy to off Charlie Kirk. Now, I completely agree that there might have been somebody out there who wanted to kill him for political reasons, and
a lot of people that did.
Yes, and I don't doubt for a minute that Iran or someone like Iran might have been in the business of trying to not just take out President Trump, which they tried to, was it twice, but also Charlie Kirk, one of his friends, and a guy who was definitely going to, I mean, if he was going to be a president someday, he just was.
Yes,
No doubt.
You're right. And, you're talking about, it's like a funding issue. I mean, Iran obviously has been the great financier of terrorism across the globe for quite some time. And they put that money everywhere it goes, everywhere they want it to go. And you can't argue that the fact that somehow some of those dollars may have ended up in the plot we're talking about here. But it doesn't necessarily mean because some of the dollars ended up there that it was put as a top priority from the very top and ordered that money directly given for that cause. That's what you have to be careful of.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael Lutz. I really appreciate you coming on and talking a lot of people off the ledge. I mean, this doesn't mean that the gun and the bullet didn't match. It just means that there was some fragmentation of the bullet. But as Niels points out, okay, bring it. Let's find out in the trial.
Exactly. I mean, 306s do fragment. Do they fragment to that extent? I mean, that causes me to raise my eyebrow a little bit. But, a lot of things happen, Victoria, in life that you may not have exactly thought were going to work out that way. So let's give it a chance. Show me the study results. Show me the proof that it actually did fragment that much and lost its momentum to be able to penetrate. And okay, we'll go on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is quite a show we got here at this trial. This is going to be very interesting. And I don't blame the attorney for using information from the ATF, which is where this information came from about the,
Right.
discontinuity possibility or whatever we can call it, and then seeking a delay in the preliminary hearing, which is the mini trial that they have in Utah. They have those in California as well. Very useful. better than a grand jury, in my humble opinion. And then, so that actually is something then in which a defense attorney would lay out the case, as would the prosecution. There is mutual discovery, which is why the defense got this information. And this is why they're trying to trumpet it and leak it to the Daily Mail, which you and I both know is what happened, and then mischaracterized it. So
I'm impressed, Victoria, that you're already working on solving the problems that we have in our judicial system. It's a mess. We all know we need to fix it up, and I loved your idea just then. We should maybe look at doing that across the country instead of just in California. Never thought I'd say any idea from California makes sense. But you came up with one, Victoria. Thank you.
I've always been at first, when I first started reporting on the courts back in the old days when I was a reporter in San Diego, I thought, God, this is a time and resource suck, right? Because it's a preliminary hearing and it's a mini trial. But that's when the judge decides, after hearing your best case, if they're going to bound the bad guy over for trial, or the alleged bad guy over for trial. And so,
huge favor to the American people, Victoria, is where most of the indictments work now across the country is one-sided. The sheriff or the DA goes in, not even required to give all the facts.
Right.
Just as I think Victoria is guilty. We'll give you an indictment. I mean, and you had
absolutely,
knowing that you were being under consideration to begin with, and totally ruin your reputation.
Sure.
Before we ever move forward.
Completely agree.
Shame to the American people, and that's why I appreciate what you're saying, because part of what we're trying to do in this administration is we need to reform a lot of things, and judicial reform is certainly one of them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I wouldn't mind doing that. It's going to be, as I say, it's a time and resource suck, but it also prevents the ham sandwich from being indicted in a star chamber only by the prosecution. There's never any equal hands at play. And I'm watching a case right now in Portland, and Portland's a tough nut to crack. And this is a person who's a conservative, who's the victim in this case. You can better believe that the prosecution will do everything they can not to indict the person who offended against the conservative. You can better believe it. Trump supporter.
And it's just their word, and nobody else gets to say anything about it. So they've got the upper hand. And that shouldn't be that way. It's
all on video, but boy, oh boy. And it was so graphic that it got me not banned, but basically throttled on YouTube for a couple of weeks. It was ridiculous.
Thank you for taking your stand. America needs more of you.
I mean, I didn't know I was taking a stand. I was just thought, well, this is what's going on. Here's what happened. And I show everybody, and all of a sudden I'm on the outs with YouTube. Oh, brother.
We haven't brought it to the attention. Yeah. We got a lot to change, Victoria. We can't do it without you. Thank you for you. God bless you. God bless America. We sure do appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you too, Michael Letts. Thank you so much. Appreciate him. Okay, so we've got, let's see, when are they going to release the rest of the Epstein files? I would ask the attorneys for the victims. I would ask and, find out when they are going to give everyone permission to completely let loose with all the Epstein files, because right now, currently, they're under seal, and some of them anyway, and things that pertain to the victims are being redacted, and whole swaths of information on docs are not docs, DOXX, but documents. They have been blacked out. So great question. I don't know. Be nice, but I think that's a question best left to the defense attorneys, or the plaintiff's attorneys, as it were. Nick Shirley, that's Real Reporting. He's done a great job. I have to say, for Nick Shirley, and I've got more things coming up here in a second, but I do want to address this because a lot of people think that it was Nick Shirley who uncovered all the stuff in Minnesota and uncovered all of the graft and the fraud in California. He did not, but he used his skill as a communicator and just knocked it out of the park and showed people, hey, here's an empty building and they're getting X number of millions per year to take care of children who aren't here. So right on, Nick Shirley. I'm a fan. I am a big fan. Let's see. You know what I'm looking for? Here's another one about the Epstein files, which I have to tag on another story, which is kind of funny, but just a second. Richard, the Epstein files have been exhausted. The only thing left is an ink blot test for you with TDS. Nick Shirley showed American taxpayers that we are not bankrupted. The fraud is happening in all 50 states and territories. Oh, in all likelihood, definitely. And they closed for the day. Are you talking about Congress? Screw them. Anyway, Biden and Hillary had to fabricate Russian lies against Trump. Why not use the Epstein files? Oh, thank you very much. I didn't even know I highlighted that. This is the best story ever. Let me see if I can find it. Best story ever. One of the players involved in the Trump-Russia collusion claptrap, the phony Russia collusion thing. One of the people who consistently went out and intentionally lied, knowing it was fake, were 3 congressional representatives. There was and is Ted Lieu of California, Eric Swalwell of California, and Eric Swalwell, Ted Lieu, and Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, who's now in the Senate. He was rewarded for his perfidy. Shame on him. I hope he rots in a very dark place someday. However, now remember, all of these things, the Epstein files and all this stuff, they were released by President Trump because he said, more transparency, let's do this. To his detriment, because of course it slaked the thirst of the haters. All these people with TDS, and they wanted, we're going to get Trump. We're going to find out he's a real bad guy. Oh, no. And as you've followed along, we do Epstein Thursdays on the Adult in the Room podcast. There's not much in there about, there's a whole bunch of mentions of Trump and people upset with Trump, emails talking about Trump. There's phony allegations that have since been taken back and completely blown up about Trump and a 13-year-old girl. We've heard that one multiple times. And all kinds of claptrap. But now, the Russian collusion thing was all about Trump playing with Russian spies, right? Isn't that what the allegation was? Trump, backroom deal, Russian spies. Go get him. He's doing that. And it was all done for Hillary Clinton. She started this whole info op to call attention away from the fact that 30,000 of her emails had been stolen, many of which had been about like Benghazi and all kinds of things. They were done that splayed on WikiLeaks, and they took her campaign managers and the DNC's stuff, and they splayed that up. And this was to call attention away from that. And then when we found out that actually some of the mirrored emails from Hillary's missing emails were on Anthony Weiner's laptop because his wife, Huma Abedin, who's now married to Alex Soros, yes, that Soros family. And we found out we had some of the mirrored stuff on Weiner's laptop. Okay. There's your backdrop. Now, find out this. So Eric Swalwell was on the House Intelligence Committee. Ted Lieu was also on a very fragile committee. I thought he was on intelligence too. Then he came off and went on another committee. But also, of course, the Shifty Schiff, Adam Schiff, on the Intelligence Committee. And they'd come out of these downloads of meetings and stuff like that with people, and they would lie. They would literally lie about what had been said at a closed-door hearing having to do with background on intelligence. And they would lie. Oh, we've got plenty of... Remember Adam Schiff? We've got lots of stuff, evidence against Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. Okay, long tail on this guy. I apologize. But this is important because Eric Swalwell, we found out that Eric Swalwell, of course, had been dating Fang Fang. And he'd been with her, Fang Fang. And Fang Fang was a CCP spy. And she was cultivating Eric Swalwell in a honeypot deal. And he was given a defensive briefing, not something that was given to Donald Trump, by the way. He was given a defensive briefing by the FBI, who knew about the fact that he was dating a spy for China. A spy for China. A guy on the intelligence committee. He was at first he was a city council person, and then eventually he ends up on the Congressional Intelligence Committee. I don't know what links he still has with her, but how do you let a guy who totally biffed a relationship, who knows what intel he gave her, is on the Intelligence Committee? Well, we find out now from Kash Patel, who's the FBI director, like him or dislike him, showboat behavior, whatever. It's just nice to have somebody who's willing to spread the wealth. And he wants to release all the FBI files on Swalwell. That's right, everybody. Very soon and very soon, we are going to go through the Eric Swalwell files and his dalliance, betting, and dating life with Fang Fang, a CCP spy who saw sucker, knew what sucker when she saw one. Yeah, and so they're going to release those. And oh yeah, Eric Swalwell is suing the FBI to stop them from doing that. Oh God, don't you think if suing the FBI was something you could actually do, that Donald Trump would have done it? It is too funny. I mean, it's just like Schadenfreude. Yes. Yes. Honestly. Oh man. She got the goods. Fang Fang got the goods. Oh, I don't know. Were there goods to get? Yeah. Anyway, let's see. I thought the Mueller report. Mueller was also part of the Russia. Oh, well, he. I mean, to the extent that he could perceive what was going on. Sure, he was there to clean up the mess. That was the whole thing. The reason Rod Rosenstein made sure that Mueller was in charge of this FBI investigation, or the special counsel investigation into the Russia thing, was to clean it up for the FBI, the CIA, and the other. Now, remember now, there was a meeting in the Oval Office. There was a meeting in the Oval Office between Barack Obama, Joe Biden, James Comey, John Brennan. There was number 2 at the DOJ. What's her name? There was also the AG was also there. Acting AG, what's her kisser? And sorry, I'll think of their names. Oh, Lisa Monaco was there, number 2 at the DOJ. If you want to find the person responsible for some of the most egregious behavior on the part of the Department of Justice, look no farther than Lisa Monaco, a horrible individual. So they're all in this meeting in the Oval Office, and James Brennan. Oh, and there was DNI. The DNA Clapper was in there too, and they're sitting there talking about Hillary starting this info op against Trump, and how this you're going to hear about it. It's going to be fine. It's just a thing from Hillary. No big deal. Well, shoot, everybody was in on it. They all knew. You know what they call that? A conspiracy. You know what they also call that? A grand conspiracy by the freaking president of the United States and the guy who later became president of the United States. And if you think that's a small thing, then you have not been paying attention. And if you think that Donald Trump is some sort of king who's been battled and battered in the court system because of lawfare, fake, and otherwise, you have not been paying attention. Now, I'm off on my high horse. And I'm not saying, I'm sure there are things that you can dislike Donald Trump about. I know, and a lot of you guys, you're haters. Fine. You can have your own opinion. And once again, thank you for being here. But the thing is that if you're looking for him to be a kid diddler, if you're looking for him to be a person who's got Russian ties, you're looking for that, you're barking up the wrong tree. Find something else to dislike him about. Find something else. Because guess what? You're not going to find anything in the Epstein files. That sticks. That's legit. That's real. Find a lot of crap in the Epstein files, as we've talked about. Yeah. Yes, Trump is the GOAT. Yeah, some people believe that. Absolutely. AIPAC, people, the anti-Jew people. Yeah, I mean, these are, AIPAC's not. The people who hate AIPAC, like, oh, the Jews did it. Then Miriam Edelson. Yeah, she did fund. She went to Jerusalem with Trump on a trip, right? Yeah, she's bankrolling all kinds of things. And not bad things. Just, she's a billionaire. Her husband was like wasn't Adelson in casinos, Vegas casinos? And, yeah. I'm looking for him to make good on his promises. Well, I think he's doing that pretty well. Wars of aggression. Oh, hell. Are there any other kind of wars? Are there other wars of non-aggression? Tell me about these. Do we just go in and bomb people? I mean, why did Barack Obama bomb 14 countries or whatever it was? More than Trump. Why did that happen? Were those wars of aggression or just wars of non-aggression? Are there any times at which you can lob a bomb, funnel in a missile, in which that is not an act of aggression? No, of course that's silly. So, yeah. All right. Speaking of the Iran conflict that we're calling it, are we calling it a war yet? I mean, I'm sure I've called it that at some point, but I don't know that does it qualify as a war yet? We've got the first big casualty of the war, and it's this. Let me make sure I've got all my stuff in a row. Here it is. The first big casualty of this conflict is NATO. Donald J. Trump wrote today on his Truth Social account, where all the news starts there for him. Country of France would not let planes headed to Israel, loaded up with military supplies, fly over French territory. What? Why? France has been very unhelpful with respect to the butcher of Iran, who has been successfully eliminated. The USA will remember President DJT. Yeah, that's not the only thing. So France won't let American aircraft fly over, or any other aircraft, if it's going to help Israel. Did I get that right? Yeah. That's basically what they said. So, but that's not the only thing today. Today, Italy. Let me just show you this. Italy said, you guys, and we like Italy. We're having a good time with Italy, right? Well, we can't use the Sigonella Air Base. Sorry, guys, we can't have you. You didn't ask all the questions. Set up with. We thought we were NATO allies, but it turns out that we're not really NATO allies at all. I guess, because check this out.
Italy has refused permission for United States military aircraft to use the Sigonella Air Base in Sicily for operations to the Middle East, according to sources familiar with the matter. Reports indicate that U.S. bombers had been scheduled to land at the base in eastern Sicily before heading to the region, but the Italian authorities denied authorization, citing that formal requests were not submitted in advance. The move has drawn attention to Italy's strict adherence to legal and political protocols governing foreign military activity on its territory. Under treaties governing the use of U.S. military installations in Italy, the Italian military leadership must be consulted for any operations involving foreign aircraft.
Okay, is that an AI guy? He kind of sounds like an AI dude. No hate, just wondering. Anyway, so Italy said, and we like the leader of Italy. She's a Georgia. What's her kisser? May. What's her name? Excuse me for just a moment while somebody put in the comments. What's her name? Bella Ciao. Bella Ciao. Thank you, Mr. Antifa. Yeah, got it. Oh yeah, totally an AI voiceover. Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Georgia Maloney? Yeah, I think that's it. I'm close. All right. So this caused a ripple effect about which our Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and all around jack of all trades, Marco Rubio, had to say.
Supporter of NATO. And one of the reasons why I've been a supporter of NATO is because I believe that these basing rights give us leverage and give us flexibility and operational capability all over the world. But if NATO is just about us defending Europe if they're attacked, but them denying us basing rights when we need them, that's not a very good arrangement. That's a hard one to stay engaged in and say this is good for the United States. So all of them's going to have to be re-examined. All of it's going to have to be re-examined.
Well, the thing is that remember, everybody's all upset. Well, Trump's destroying NATO. He's not doing what they want. He's not selling the Ukrainians what they need. And what did he do? What did Trump do? He sold, Poland, a bunch of stuff to sell to Ukraine. He gave them the weapons. He didn't destroy the NATO family. But here, they're not even there for the handoff, for probably the most existentially important commitment to getting rid of a bad actor as you'll ever see this side of Hitler in the Iran mullahs. And they're not even there for the handoff. What the heck? What's going on that? So then we've got, so we have Marco Rubio. Today, Hegseth, just back from a trip to visit the troops over the weekend, and he talked about it today. Here he is, shagging a question in the best sense of shagging baseballs and fungos, not the other kind of shagging. Shagging questions about the possibility of problems with NATO and other things as well, like ground troops. Listen.
As far as NATO is concerned, that's a decision that will be left to the president. But I'll just say a lot has been laid bare. A lot has been shown to the world about what our allies would be willing to do for the United States of America when we undertake an effort of this scope on behalf of the free world. These are missiles that don't even range the United States of America. They range allies and others. And yet when we ask for additional assistance or simple access basing and overflight, we get questions or roadblocks or hesitations. And the president's pointing out, you don't have much of an alliance if you have countries that are not willing to stand with you when you need them. He's simply pointing that out, and ultimately it'll be his decision of what that looks like after this is complete.
I'll just won't talk about any particular target. This really builds on Jillian's question too, that I don't think I completely answered. But the joint force is the most professional force in the world, and we have numerous processes and system to carefully consider the whole range of considerations, from civilian risk to legal considerations with any target. And as targets come before us, we run them through the same process that we always do, and always strike lawful targets in accordance with the normal procedures that.
Okay, so he's Dan Kane, Raising Cane. Sorry, I'm just having a little soda, a little sparkling water here. He's talking about how he wants to. Hey, I know I want to make nice. Okay, whatever happened to the United Nations and world peace? Whatever. You know what? Did you see how Trump set the table to get rid of the United Nations, or at least so badly leverage them into something else and or diminish them, however you want to characterize it, that he put together his, the Board of Peace, where he has all these highfalutin leaders at the Board of Peace. And it's like, because the United Nations, Trump said it before. He says, United Nations has never phoned me one time, after Venezuela, after Midnight Hammer, nothing. These guys don't want to be there and help to make peace. So he said, screw him. I'm going to have my own Board of Peace. And that's what he did. Let's see. NATO Article 5 triggered once by USA after 9/11. Okay. Did we do that? Did we really do the Article 5 one? Oh, I guess I didn't realize I was so caught up in everything. They immediately sent troops, lost thousands, and for what? An incontinent pedophile to say he stood back from the front line, a 5-time draft dodger. Okay, well, you guys just keep, hanging on to the draft dodger thing. You just keep hanging on. I know you don't like them. Just look for something else. You might want to find the truth in there somewhere. Let's see. What else? If Europe sucks, don't beg for our help. That's basically what the president said. I do have another message from Trump, from Truth Social. And let's make sure I've got this. Got this. He's pissed off at the Brits, too, because the Brits haven't been there for the handoff either. Indeed, they want to sell or give back or something, Diego Garcia, a base that we need. And Trump's going, no, we need to have this base. And so he's mad at him anyway. So here's the latest. Here he goes. All those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran. I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We've got plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Go to the Strait and just take it. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done. Go get your own oil. President JT or DJT. Oh, man. Who's dementia-ridden? Are you talking about Joe Biden again? Yeah. Okay, so there's much more to go because we do have a sit rep on what is going on in Iran. And somebody told me to make sure that we watched Tuesday TV. And Jordan, I did. And guy's really good. He really, really is. So let's see here. Let us see here. Here's an explanation of what has been going on in Iran and how, this is so disgusting, Iran has now turned to child soldiers.
The country are the Islamic occupiers, but 5%, because they have guns, they've managed to oppress people. And but it's a huge country, so that should be about 4 million people, 5 million people. They're never able to bring out the vast majority of them. So the largest gatherings that we've seen, peak times, is about probably 100,000 people. It's nothing. And these days, we're getting about 5,000, the big gatherings, massive funerals, maybe 5,000 to 10,000. The rest of them, they're doing the patrollings and like tiny protests, which is probably about 25 people, 30 people in each area, which is a little bit embarrassing. And they are getting the message. That's why they had to get child soldiers. They also had to get the Iraqis to come to help them. This is the sign of a dying regime. If you are winning, you do not get children to help you fight. If you are winning, you do not get the Iraqis to come and help you.
Yeah, good point. And the Iraqis have actually been coming. Let me see if I can find that. I do have a clip of the Iraqis doing their thing, going over the, where is this? Oh, yet another one. Iran, Iraq. Oh, here we go. Here it is. Yay. Sometimes you guys have to guess, in earnest, like early of the day before, right? So early yesterday. So some of my cuts are like from yesterday, and so I have to go, because you can't plug everything into your StreamYard thing, because you only get 10 slots to slot stuff in. Is that too much information? Probably. Okay, here they come. Now, I just want you to please appreciate, or not, the vehicles in which they are coming to help Iran. Somebody put it to music. Do I have the music on here? Oh, here we go. I have no idea what this music means. I don't know why it's not going. I have what the heck, man? Just go. Here, just go. So I checked this, because everything is AI sometimes, and I'm looking at all the Toyotas, the white Toyotas, which are de rigueur for the terrorist set in the Middle East. They love those. I mean, Toyota makes I have a Toyota truck. It's fantastic. It's one of their other brands, but it's equal. You can, when you turn over a Toyota engine, it's a Toyota engine. And, I love American trucks and stuff, but I've had this Toyota for like 20 years, so I ain't losing it, because it's paid for and it's amazing. It's an amazing truck. But be that as may. So, but you can tell. And so for whatever reason, I don't know where they buy their stuff over in Iraq, but the white Toyota trucks are ubiquitous among the terror set. So here now you have these dudes coming into Iraq. This is bad news as far as I'm concerned. Because when I see that happening, I think to myself, oh man, insurgency? What? Iran's huge. 90 million people, huge country. We've got 10,000 ground troops that are sort of standing by just to tamp up the pressure a little bit against who's left of the Iranian regime, who are underground. They have limited communication. They have blacked out cities. And I assume they've blacked out cities. I've assumed that it's they who blacked out multiple places. But it's not good for them. They're losing. Let's see this. Trump put out, this is a weapons cache, huge building, armory, that they blew up. President Trump also blew it up today on his Truth Social post. Good to have that. Didn't explain what it was, but, huge, huge deal. Boom. Yeah. Have you paid attention to what Iran is saying and doing? Just from what I read and hear on reports, but it's limited because the actual information, I believe, is being talked about at the highest level. So they say in their public discussions on X. Now, are you referring to what they're planning to do, and is this from an Iranian leader who's dead or alive? Because they're, apparently they have discovered the everlasting life over in Iran, because a lot of these guys, they are dead, but they're still posting to X. I think the Ayatollah is still posting to X. So yeah, they're hoping to retain as many ballistic missiles as they can to kill businesses in an economic warfare, to get the Houthis to sink ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and going after the desal plants. Also went after, this is bizarre, a plant that produces LNG that it owns. So by your question, do you mean this kind of warfare? Or are you suggesting that they have more nuclear fissile material that has been enriched and that they have available to them to produce a weapon. Is that what you're suggesting? Clearly, Europe thinks something else is going on. Clearly, Europe doesn't want to be targeted. In the United States, of course, because Joe Biden let in multiple Iranian hit squads. You know that, right? Like 18 hit squad people? Or said 1,800. Hold on, Joe Kemp said something about that recently. I could go find it. And so he let in all kinds of bad actors. So there may be people on our soil, but I will tell you this. The ballistic missiles that Iran is sending from Iran, that the bad actors, the IRGC dudes, are sending from Iran and into other countries, they can't get to the United States. They get to Europe, though. That's kind of dumb of Europe not to help us, don't you think? What video? The big boom boom video? Yeah, Tuesday TV's got Jordan, I watched Tuesday TV. I had one excerpt from them. Yeah. I hope it's not a very long war. Don't kid yourself. Oh, I hope it's not. Yeah. I might have some in me. Mostly Irish and Swedish, though. You never know. The diaspora is wide. Let's see. Fox or AN won't tell you, but Iran, unlike USA, doesn't government by Twitter, hasn't begun yet. Trump has effed it up. Well, okay, well, tell us. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe Curry. Lay it out in the comments. Lay it out in the comments. The U.S. is a terrorist state. Well, thank you, Mr. Al-Qaeda. Appreciate that. Here's the thing about Al-Qaeda. There's a thing about the people who are friends to terrorists. Here's the thing about this. I want you to hear me. You people who don't like the United States, the people who don't like Donald Trump, fine. You don't have to like Donald Trump. You can respect him, but you don't have to like him. He's not your bestie. He's not my bestie. You're not going to believe this, but if Al-Qaeda don't do nothing, there will be no violence. It's the same thing as with Antifa. If Antifa doesn't bring the violence, there's never any violence. But there's no violence until Antifa brings it. It's always the way it is. Isn't that weird? It's like Hamas. Israel could just live in peace, but they can't because all the Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran-backed bad actors going after it on the daily. Dude. So there would be peace if they'd stop warring. No, I'm not ignorant. But you tell us in the comments, Mr. Farhad Sharp. Huh. Jan 6 was Antifa? Could be. There were Antifa actors. There were people from Portland, Antifa there. There's a guy from Utah, Antifa, right at the place where Ashley Babbitt was shot, right next to her. He got the video. Of course there were Antifa people there. How do you think so many of those... Are you suggesting to me that perhaps that was the one big public display that they were not going to show up to in years? Are you serious? Are you really serious? And Donald Trump was going to be there and they were going to miss it? Hell no. Of course not. Don't be silly. Don't be silly. Is Epstein in the Trump files? I want to see the Eric Swalwell trials. Or files, I should say. Okay, here we go. For all you Trump lovers. Here it is. The fundraising has begun for the future Trump Library. Here's the sizzle reel. Watch. Now, okay, don't you think it looks like a combo of the Empire State Building with the top of it and the World Trade Center? Empire State Building vibe. Because he's a New Yorker. This looks like it's in Palm Beach, though. Can you imagine? The tallest building in Palm Beach. Oy, oy, oy. We'll continue. Now here's something. This is news. The whole thing's news, right? But look at the way they've done this pavilion with Air Force One in it. That's exactly what the Reagan Library did, and it is breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. You don't think that Donald Trump doesn't think that the Reagan Library is breathtaking? He is totally cheating on that idea. Why not? If you could get a copy of the Air Force One for your presidential library, aces. Good on him. And let's see what else. Oh, he's got some other craft in there. At least this is what he hopes to have in there. So, because this is all aspirational, right? This is a sizzle reel from a non-existent library that he wants to have built. There's this. Now he's just messing with us because now he's doing the East Room. You know, he's redoing the East Room to make sure that you can actually have huge banquets in there, because you always have to do it in the tents on the yard and nobody likes it because it's freezing out there sometimes. And so he had to put the beauty shot of the ballroom at the East Room at the White House. You know, pretty funny stuff. And I can tell you, having worked, I was just a volunteer in a presidential library, you know, when I was in Southern California, my last stint, because I've been moving up and down the coast for my life, my professional life as well as my regular old life. And so I thought, well, doggone it, I'm going to see if they'll take me on as a docent, you know, like tour guide person or whatever. I can do it. Sure, I can do it. I can do it. And you know what? I did it. And I worked at the Nixon Library. I really wanted to work at the Reagan Library because I like Ronald Reagan better than I like Richard Nixon. But hey, you know, I thought, well, I'm going to go. I'll be at the Nixon Library. Interesting little factoid about the East Room. The East Room that we had at the Nixon Library, Presidential Library in Yorba Linda, had to be increased in size to accommodate crowds that we had at the library for book events and stuff. Because it was too small. Because the regular size of the East Room was way too small. which is what every president has said. Everyone since it was built. Yeah, so. Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're not done yet. Oh, no, there it is. Beauty shot, last one. Let them eat cake. Hey, if you're buying the cake, what's your problem with it? You're not paying 1 red cent for that library. You are not paying 1 red cent for that East Room banquet ballroom. You're not spending 1. Because guess what? Because he knows people. And they gave him money to build the doggone thing. There's the huge, by the way, there's a huge place that the president and first lady and the first family have to go to in the event of a Antifa attack, like they had to. Remember when they had to go to the panic room? What do you call it again? What is it? Yeah. So, yeah. So there's an even bigger one that they're planning down there, and a military installation down there of the East Room. But hey, how about one more time? Huh? How about one more time? The beauty shot, first beauty shot. The dramatic music always is just kind of a cracker. Definitely Florida. Very nice. There's that combo of the World Trade Center and the other building. Why am I? Oh, Empire State Building. Democrats are acting like it's Trump's house. And it's not. It's America's house. Why wouldn't you want it to be renovated and built up into a new and better way to accommodate foreign leaders? Yeah, well, they don't think about that because they think it's all about Trump. They think he thinks it's all about him. If it were all about him, do you think he'd be president of the United States right now? Oh, this is Joe. Joe says, I will not be buying cake. You're right. I can't eat cake. Can't. Nope. But I'd buy my own if I did. In fact, I think I might make a carrot cake for Easter this weekend. What do you think? I think it's a great idea. Oh, I already said that one. Okay, let's see. Anything? Yes, just like the wall Mexico paid for. Yeah, they should probably put higher taxes on all the money sent back to Mexico and or elsewhere. There's another story that I don't have time for today, but I do want you to know about, and it's the fact that all of these former IRGC, the Iranian guys, have a swath of them since 2022 have gone to live in Canada. And, you know, that's a national security issue for me. Is it not to Canada? These crazy people? How is that not a problem for them? Let's see. There is a story. Mm-hmm. Well, guess not. I'll look for it later. We'll get into that because that's crazy. Okay, now coming up on Thursday, it's Epstein Thursday. I'm going to go back over some of the highlights of the latest depositions. There's some additional depositions I'll tell you about that are coming up from the Oversight Committee, which are golden. I mean, this is transparency at its finest. It's transparency as good as we're probably going to get on the whole Epstein matter as well. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, his name's all over it. What about, he is, of course he's going to do that now. He does that with everything. He does that. Okay, anything else? Why hasn't Melania or Trump been, oh, never mind. Deposed? I don't know. Probably because he doesn't want to be deposed. And he probably has limited information. You know, he hasn't been, his contact with Epstein, I think, stopped in 2003. Is that right? So, I don't know. Could be of limited value. Plus, I don't think he's inclined to do that because he knows everybody wants to see him. You know, they want to take shots at him again, literally and figuratively. So, anyway. All righty. We're going to go. Shall we go out on a high note? See you Thursday. 1 o'clock West Coast time, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Thank you for viewing. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Adult in the Room podcast. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate every single person who tunes in every week to listen and watch this program. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, live streaming on Rumble, and then on every other podcast platform shortly thereafter when we can port it over and get it over there as soon as we can. All the shows can be found at victoriataft.com, where the censorship regime has been banned by me. Follow me on social media at these names: Victoria Taft, the Adult in the Room podcast, and The Victoria Taft Show. Send media inquiries, or any others for that matter, to victoria@victoriataft.com. And here's a big ask. Would you please subscribe, share, like, comment, recommend, and give this program a 5-star rating where you can? We really appreciate it. We do not take that for granted either. Follow my work at, you guessed it, victoriataft.com. PJ Media, I write tons over there. Flamingo Audiobooks, and of course the radio. I don't do this alone. This show is produced and engineered by Overall Media. 1A Cast is responsible for some of the Adult in the Room podcast's imaging. Logo design by Hageman Creative. The Adult in the Room podcast is produced at Flamingo Road Studios. All rights reserved.